Like most things in life, language learning has two sides, one good and one not so good, to put it simply. It's impossible to deny the joy of realizing that you can express your thoughts and feelings in another language, totally different from your mother tongue. Maybe you love the process itself, memorizing new words, reading books in the original, or understanding a new grammar system. But let's be honest, it's not all sunshine and roses. Every language learner struggles with something. For some, it's understanding native speakers, while others battle with memorizing new vocabulary, no matter how hard they try. And let's face it, whatever part of language learning frustrates us, we simply hate it. And I, as an experienced language learner, am no exception. So in this video, I am diving into those struggles that I personally can't stand and talking about some of the worst myths that surround language learning in general. So dive into it with me. There's actually quite a list of those things I hate in language learning. So many that it's hard to choose now what to start with. But I guess it'll be better to start with the most important one, language learning trends. I wish I could fully express how much I hate them. Of course, some trends are genuinely helpful. However, the internet is overflowing with those things that we simply don't need. Things that distract us from actual learning rather than helping us. Take, for example, some of the things I have already talked about. Maybe you've seen that video. First, there's the obsession with language trackers in our language journals. So many bloggers show off their language notebooks filled with an endless number of trackers of different kinds. How much I have read, how many podcasts I have listened to, how many hours I've spent on Duolingo, instead of actual language learning tasks. I mean, instead of spending so much time tracking, wouldn't it be better just to read something, highlight some new phrases and words, and later add them to our language journals? And second, hype around setting up language goals. Don't get me wrong, please, setting up goals is totally fine, but it's also important not to overreact. These days, it feels like we are constantly being told what we should be doing. Wake up at 5 a.m., maximize every second of your day, be the most productive version of yourself. And honestly, this mindset can be exhausting. Sure, setting a goal like reaching an upper intermediate level in 6 months is ambitious, but do you really need to pressure yourself so much? Now, if you're someone who does use language trackers or loves setting goals and you feel okay about it, please don't rush to the comments right now to tell me that I am exaggerating. First of all, because I know how many people there are out there who are genuinely wondering what is the best way to start learning a new language. But when they see millions of YouTube shorts, reels, videos pushing unnecessary study trends, it can be overwhelming. And secondly, remember that I'm just sharing with you my personal thoughts. We might not agree on everything, that it's totally fine. And now let me talk about one myth in particular that gets on my nerves every time. Every time I hear somebody talking about it, or every time I read something about it, I just can't stand it. You must be specially talented, or you must have a special gene in your DNA to be able to successfully learn languages. Please trust me, I don't mean to offend any language learner or question anybody's abilities to study. We all, at least sometimes, like to think that we are special in some way, right? But the only thing I do question is the idea that we need some special magical gene to be able to learn languages. It might sound harsh to some, but I'll say it anyways. The reason you might be struggling to learn a specific language isn't because you lack a special gene. It's usually because of your laziness. Or, in some cases, because you don't really need that language. Let me explain. When someone says, no, language learning is not for me because I simply don't have ability to learn languages, chances are they are not just putting in the effort. It's not because they don't have this ability, it's just that they don't want to learn. It's just that they are lazy. And when somebody says, I don't want to continue learning this language because I don't see any progress, more often than not, it usually means that they don't really need to learn that language. Maybe they are doing it only because it's trendy to speak several languages. Or maybe they haven't found a true reason why they should be investing their time in it. That's why if there is one thing you are undeniably gifted with as a language learner, it's the ability to stay committed and not give in to laziness. By the way, if you love language learning and want to add some cozy and inspiring touches to your study space, I have something special for you. I recently added some new handmade items to my shop, embroidered bookmarks, perfect for your reading sessions, and unique paintings designed to bring some worth and some creativity to your study area. Every piece is handmade, and I'd be just so happy if they could find a home with fellow language learners like you. If you'd like to support my work and get something beautiful in return, check out my shop. I'll leave the link in the video description. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to busting more language learning myths. Moving on to the next thing I sometimes find dreadful in language learning. Those awkward and energy-draining moments of interactions with native speakers. I've been in those situations where I'm surrounded by native speakers, the language of whom I have been learning for a while, and I'm actually quite good at that language. But for some reason, keeping up a conversation feels incredibly hard, especially when some particular thoughts come to my mind, like, I hope they don't think I'm a weirdo. Do I even seem like a normal person right now? It goes without saying that speaking a foreign language puts your brain, your mind, through a lot. First, it's trying to calm you down and seize the pressure. Second, it's scrambling to construct and form sentences that you will eventually, and hopefully, turn into a beautifully made text that you will give to the native speakers of your target language, and they will actually understand it. Even just talking about it now is making me anxious. If you have no idea what I am talking about, you're one of the lucky ones. But let's not forget that among language learners there are a lot of introverts or highly sensitive people. Yes, that's a true term. I myself discovered it just recently and was shocked at how much it described myself in some aspects. Since we all react differently, some of us feel pressured or even hurt when native speakers gives us strange looks, laugh, or get impatient because they don't understand us and we don't understand them. And let's be clear, it's wrong to laugh or get angry with someone just because they're struggling speaking in another language. But if it happens to you, please remember, most of the time it's not even about you. That person has probably never been in your shoes and doesn't understand what it feels like to speak in another language. It might be not personal, it's just the situation itself. By the way, I talked more about it in my previous video, so if you relate to what I've just said, please watch it and please share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's switch to another myth, or better yet, let's call it a misconception. So many people, unfortunately, believe in this idea. The older you are, the less chance you have to successfully master a foreign language. I certainly cannot and will not judge people who are, for example, in their 50s and hesitate to even take a first step in learning a new language. After all, I have no idea how I will be in my 50s. But what we do know for sure is that age has nothing to do with our ability to learn foreign languages. More often than not, it's simply again about our mindset, or let's be honest, laziness. People convince themselves that it's too late and don't realize how fun and how beneficial language learning can actually be. But the truth is, there are so many people who has already proven this idea wrong. You've probably seen that famous YouTuber polyglot who completely shattered the myth that age limits our ability to successfully master foreign languages. So if you're in your 40s, 50s, 70s or more, please don't let different misconceptions steal life from you. Find several new hobbies for yourself, whatever you want. Explore new hobbies, new activities, whatever excites you. Your body and your brain will thank you afterwards for keeping them active and engaged. And who knows, learning a new language might just become one of the most rewarding hobbies you've ever had. I guarantee it. And to close our topic, I would like to share with you another thing I absolutely hate when it happens to me in my language learning journey. Feeling stuck at a particular level and criticizing myself for not making any progress. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, right? Even though most of us understand that this feeling is completely normal, it's still frustrating. It can make us think we're doing something wrong, even if we've been studying consistently. And yes, that happens to even experienced language learners. It's a dreadful feeling to realize that despite all your effort, whether it's practicing grammar, reading books, or totally immersing yourself in the language, you still seem to be stuck at, let's say, B1 level. But please, let's remind ourselves of something very important. Progress isn't always visible, especially if you've been with this language for a long period of time. In those moments, it really helps to step back a bit and look at the things that once looked so difficult to you, but now seem totally natural, totally normal. That's when you realize just how far you have already come. There are, of course, some aspects in language learning that we may not like or even hate, but they become absolutely nothing when we think about what language learning gives us in return, right? Yes, it can be sometimes frustrating, exhausting, or even discouraging, but at the end of the day, every new word we learn, every conversation we manage to hold, and every little breakthrough we experience make all the struggles worth it. Languages open doors not just to other new cultures and people, but also of different versions of ourselves. They teach us patience, resilience, and the joy of understanding the world in a whole new way. So even if there are things we hate along the way, let's not forget why we started in the first place. Keep going, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy this language learning journey. Thank you for being here. Share your thoughts with me in the comments, and of course subscribe for more. See you in the next video.